It's cooking, good looking. Welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we're going to be doing an ASMR recipe for turkey, white bean, and kale soup. I want to experiment doing recipe videos, so I figured I would start out with a more healthy recipe, see how you guys like that, and then later on, if you enjoy these types of videos, I would creep into doing like more buttery, fatty southern foods. So if you would like to see how I make my turkey, cannellini, and kale soup, then just keep watching. What you'll be needing to make this soup is some reduced sodium chicken broth. You want to get the reduced sodium to help, not give you high blood pressure. You will need 1 medium-ish sized onion, a pound of ground turkey of your choosing. I got the Italian style for some extra flavoring. Then you will need carrots. Now you can use either, say, 2 to 3 medium-sized carrots, but I'm gonna do it the lazy way and use baby carrots. They're already peeled and ready to go. I'll probably use about 10 of these. You will need, of course, some salt to season your soup. Ground black pepper. Some Italian seasoning. This is a blend that my sister made for me. I think there is some red pepper flakes, oregano, basil, garlic powder. I don't know, it's filled with a bunch of yummy herbs and spices. You will need, of course, some garlic. I am a garlic fiend. I kid you not, I like eating just straight roasted garlic spread on some bread. It's super yummy. You will also need diced tomatoes in juice, and a big old bag of kale. If you want, you can buy bundles and clean it and all that, but I did the shortcut. This is pretty much all ready to go. I'll just rinse it. You will also need some cannellini beans, white kidney beans. We got the Bush's Best for our beans, but you can use Great Value and all that. I love the Great Value brand, Aldi, Trader Joe's. To me, it's all the same shit. And these two things I'm going to show you now are optional. They're to top off the soup when you're done, if you so desire. I like to top mine with some red pepper flakes for spice. And have a little bit of a cheesy action going on. Some grated parmesan. let's get to cooking our soup. Here I've gone and set out the produce that we will be working on and prepping. I have my onion. I did about 14 baby carrots because even though they're baby carrots, they just looked so wimpy to me, and you can't have too many vegetables, so whatever. And then I got 4 cloves of garlic. Let's go ahead and cut our onion. We're gonna start by taking off the ends. Then we're gonna go down the middle. And we're gonna take off all the skin. I also take off that sort of first layer of onion. I find it can be chewy sometimes. Just peel it back. I'll also make sure, as always, that you wash your hands before this. I already did that. And we're gonna throw away all these bits here. For the onion, I'm just gonna do a simple dice. Nothing too fancy. I just want it to be bite-sized pieces of onion. So we go that way and line it back up and grip it and cut. I may or may not use this whole onion. With savory cooking, it's not like baking. You can sort of cater the recipe to whatever you like. It doesn't have to be exact. So if you like more of one thing, add more. The onion keeps wanting to stick to my knife. Turn around and cut. And now we have all this cut up onion. I'm almost positive that I won't be using all of it. We're going to set it to the side, and I'm going to work on my carrots. With the carrots, I'm just going to cut them into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to chop up a couple more carrots because I really like carrots, and I'm not sure if that'll be enough veg for me. And plus, it's better to always have too much than not enough. And I could always use the leftovers for another dish. Here are all our carrots chopped up and ready to go. Next, we're gonna focus on the stinky, yummy garlic. Gonna smell like this for days, but it's okay. I don't have a man or a woman to bother, so I'll just smell stinky all by myself. How I like to prep my garlic, I'm not going to do this on camera because it's quite loud. I take my knife, I place it over it, and I give it a big whack, and that gets all the skin off of it. So I'm going to do that, then I'll come back and I'll chop it. Are all our cloves of garlic. You can probably hear Elliot eating. it is his dinner time, and you're just gonna finely mince this to your best capabilities. I don't have a great technique. I literally just I'm gonna push it back, and I roughly dice it first, scraping it off the knife as I go. And you just want this to be very small. We want the flavor of garlic, but we don't want someone biting into a big hunk of it. I might like that, but other people don't. Like, it's so sticky. It smells really good though. And just chop, 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 chop. I am gonna be so smelly. And keep doing this until it's your desired consistency and shape. I want mine pretty finely minced. And you could use the already minced garlic that comes in jars, things like that. Don't let anyone shame you. I'm all about a nice, easy shortcut, especially for people who are busy with work or your children. If you're making a homemade meal, it still counts if you use shortcuts. Okay, I think that this is looking pretty good to me. Maybe one more time. I have garlic all over my hands. You gotta get intimate with your food. I think it makes it taste better. That sounds gross now that I said it out loud. But what I mean is, don't be afraid to touch your food. Like if you're making some chicken or some steaks, massage your meat. Get that seasoning on there. Get familiar with your food. Okay. We're gonna push it all together now. Your garlic should look something like this. I'm going to go wash my hands and I'll be right back. Okay, let's get to actually cooking. You're gonna need a largish pot, and I forgot to mention this in the ingredients. You'll need a cooking oil of sorts. I'm just using regular olive oil. You want to set your stove to about medium heat, and we're going to put some oil in the pan. Probably use, we're going to do like a tablespoon of oil. And we're going to let that heat up for a minute before we start adding our veggies. Our oil is now hot. You'll be able to tell when the oil is a bit more liquidy in consistency. It'll move across the pan easier. And I'm going to add our carrots first. I did turn the burner up just a little bit. You can hear it sizzling. And I'm going to move them around now. And I'm going to add my onion to this. I want the onion to be about the same amount as the carrots. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm definitely not using all of this. Again, cater it to your needs, your wants, your desires. If you like more onion, do more. If you like less, do less. The world is your oyster. Okay. I think I'm gonna do just a little bit more. I really like onion. I love smelly food. Fish sauce, onion, garlic, kimchi. So realistically, you probably will end up using half of that onion that you cut up. And now we're gonna saute this for maybe 5 minutes or so, just watching it and stirring. We want to soften these vegetables up a bit. Let the onions get nice and translucent and get the carrots a head start on their cooking, because they can sometimes take a minute to soften. Now that we've been sauteing our carrots and onions for a bit, it should look something like this. Next, we're going to add our garlic. And we're just going to saute this until it gets fragrant. So it's a bit aromatic. We don't want to brown it. We just want to cook it enough to release its flavor. During this step, make sure to keep stirring and do not leave your pot. Now that our garlic is fragrant, releasing its oils and smell, we're gonna add our ground turkey. I have my meat too. We're just gonna dunk it in. I'm gonna go clean my hands real quick. I'm just gonna keep mixing and breaking it apart. We don't want big chunks of meat, so you want to move kind of quick. Really break apart all that meat. They actually have a device for doing this. I don't have it, hence why I'm mashing it like it owes me money with a spoon. Next, I'll be adding my Italian seasonings. I will not be measuring this, just using my spidey senses. There's no salt in this blend, so I can't really overdo it. I think that looks good. And mix it up. Breaking apart the meat. Then I'm gonna add a bit of black pepper. I really, really like pepper. Just gonna add a bunch. I'll probably finish it with some black pepper as well. And we're gonna do, I wanna be a bit more precise with the salt. Maybe like 3/4 or so. A teaspoon of salt. You can always add more later if needed, but you can't take it away. We're gonna mix this up. So meld together. Let the flavors and the veggies and meat, let them meet each other, get to know each other, and blend together for a minute. At this point, you should have something resembling something like this. Now, to our mixture that is simmering away, we're going to add our diced tomatoes. We are not draining this. Add it with all of the juices. You can use fresh tomatoes if you would like, but I am not that bitch, so I'm using canned. I'm gonna mix it a bit. This is what it looks like after you add the tomatoes. I will try to get a better camera angle next time. My tripod is just a stupid slut. Next up are cannellini beans. We will be draining and rinsing these. Time to add our rinsed and drained cannellini beans. I hate to say it like this, but you just want to get all the beany gooiness off of it and add it to your pot. Stir it up, being somewhat gentle because I don't want to break apart the beans. I want to keep their beanie shape. Next, it's time to add some liquid so it can be more soupy. And we're going to be doing a chicken broth. I believe broth means it's made with the bones of meat. Meanwhile, stock is made with the meat. And we're going to do like 3.5 cups. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'll just do this one halfway. No need to dirty another measuring cup. Now that we're at this stage, I'm gonna let it come back up to a simmer before we add our kale. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, dogs, cats, and everyone in between. We've been simmering here about 15 or so minutes. Now it's time to add our leafy green. I sectioned out about, 4 cups or so, 4.5. I eyeballed it. I know y'all probably want to beat my ass for doing that, but that's just how I tend to cook. And I'm gonna add our 4.5 or so cups of kale to our soup now. If you don't like kale, you could use another green vegetable if you're choosing. You could do spinach, collards, perhaps mustard greens. With recipes, you can get like a base recipe. Don't be afraid to use what you have on hand, as long as it's similar. So with kale, something leafy and green. If you don't have ground turkey, use a ground meat of your choosing, perhaps ground chicken. You could even do maybe ground pork. Okay. Now that we've got our kale in the pot, give it a nice zhuzh. And cover the kale with the broth. Mix it all together and you know that it's the best of both worlds. We're gonna play the waiting game yet again, and this will vary. I'm going to start with letting it just simmer. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit, and we're gonna simmer it for, we're gonna start with 15 minutes, and we just want the kale to soften up. So I'll come back and check it after 15 minutes. Okay, my little croissants, I'm back after the 15 minutes. Our soup is looking lovely. I turned down the stove again. Now we're gonna taste our soup to see if it needs any seasonings. You don't want to be too aggressive with the seasoning in the beginning, because as things reduce, the flavors become more concentrated. So if you put even the right amount of salt with the amount of liquid in it, as the liquid gets less and less, it'll get a bit too salty. So let's give it a little taste, see if it needs anything. It's pretty good. I think that this total seasoning would be really good in it. It'll just kick it up a notch and make it taste more complete. And this just has salt, garlic powder, I believe some oregano, cilantro, things like that. And I'm just going to put a little bit on top, like that much. And we're gonna see what that does. Again, you can always add more, but you can't take away. I don't need it super salty because I am gonna be topping it with parmesan, so I'm taking that into account. But I do want it to taste perfect by itself first. So let's get a bit of the broth. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Here is what your finished product should look somewhat like. It's nice, hot, and ready to go. Now I'm just gonna plate it up and get it ready to serve. Now that our soup is ready, let's ladle some into this shallow bowl. I like this because it cools down faster, so you can eat. Okay. This soup is pretty healthy for you, but it's very filling. You don't feel very heavy after eating it either, but you feel nice and satiated. Okay. I like to top mine with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. My hands are clean, do not worry. And I'm just going to sprinkle some over the top, like so. And then I like crushed red pepper flakes. I like it fairly spicy, so I'm just gonna do this until my heart's content. You do not have to do this step. You can eat it as is. I think that's good. Now it's time to eat. I mixed up my toppings. It's very hot, but let's give it a taste. It's so good. I am quite pleased with myself. It turned out super delicious. The broth is flavorful from that Italian seasoning, and I think from that total seasoning that I added. Get that garlicky goodness, the spice from the red pepper flakes, fiber from the kale, which you always need, protein from the beans and the turkey. I hope that you all enjoyed making this recipe with me. If you make it, let me know how you liked it. Also, if you would like to see more recipe videos in the future, let me know and I'll be happy to oblige. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.